I always found myself admiring those effortlessly likable individuals who always seem to have an unfair advantage on life. It almost seems like their likability almost stems from some unattainable quality that they're just born with. I recently discovered a study conducted at UCLA where subjects rated over 500 adjectives based on their perceived significance to likability. The top rated adjectives had nothing to do with being intelligent or attractive. Instead, the top adjectives were sincerity, transparency, and capacity for understanding. This made me realize that likability is not just a genetic lottery that you win or a privilege that's only bestowed to a select few. It's a skill, just like anything else, that can be acquired and honed and mastered. So let's get right into it. The first thing is they greet people by their names. This is one single habit that will put you at the top of people's likability list. Have you ever walked into your favorite coffee shop and you've been greeted with a monotone, "Hey, what can I get you?" It's like a soulless encounter with a coffee dispensing robot. But the simple act of just greeting someone by looking at their name tag and using their name can transform that robot into an actual lively human being. Wherever there's a place around my home that is somewhere I go to often, like a grocery store or the gym, or when I go into the building and there's the security, I always try to get their names. Instantly, my day gets a whole lot better because I'm greeted with people that know me by name and I know them by name, and we're always very nice to each other, and typically we're always treated better. When you walk to that coffee shop and the barista goes, "Hey Blake, oh, the usual today?" It's like you're in a secret club where your name is the golden ticket and they actually take care of your order and they don't half-ass it. And just to be clear, I am terrible with names. I forget it the minute you tell me. And when I'm in a room full of strangers and I don't have anyone to clinch onto that I know, I panic and I hide. And honestly, it's those great times where someone comes up and does the work and they introduce themselves to me and then I open up and I get their name. When I have that, I use their name repeatedly throughout the time and interaction I'm with them. And I stand out, and all of a sudden they want to know my name because either they feel guilty that I know their name or they actually have taken a general interest in me. So if you want to be the life of the party, don't underestimate the power of people's names. It's your secret weapon to become an exceptionally likable person. The next thing is they put away their phones. You ever notice when you're at a gathering or a dinner with all your friends and you look around and everyone is just looking down? It's seriously so disappointing when you're with a group of people and they can't even acknowledge you because they are spending every waking moment where they don't have to be interactive to just look at their phones. It's the infamous phone addiction that had taken years off my life. It's a modern day conundrum that's plagued us all, but the people that can resist the urge of doing it and actually open up the floor to a conversation and converse are always the people that are more likable. Like I said, I used to be glued to my phone. I was addicted to my phone. My phone was like an electric blanket for my eyes that would shield me from social interactions and anxiety. But once I broke free from having the urge to have to check my phone at every waking moment and have it on the table, I noticed that people actually enjoyed being around me a lot more often. Without the distractions of my phone, I became fully present and people actually enjoyed conversing with me because they knew I'd actually listen to them. So embrace the beauty of living in the moment and making genuine connections and really try to not have your phone on the table. It is just such an irk. The next habit is they ask questions. You know when you're engaging in a conversation with someone and you find yourself at a crossroads? You either continue talking about your favorite cheeseburger for 30 minutes or you take a vast detour and kindly ask them about their world. Let's be real for a moment. How often do we catch ourselves in conversations where it just feels like it's a one-way street, where your words or someone else's words just completely dominate the scene? When I feel comfortable enough with someone, I can go on and on about my antique collection of pogs or my favorite type of bread. But the problem with this is when a conversation is just being dominated by one person and it's not a two-way street, eventually the person listening gets really burnt out and bored and they don't want to hear about your problems. They want you to ask about theirs. When you're chatting with someone, instead of droning about your extensive collection of shoelaces, maybe ask about how they're doing, what their hobbies are, what their passions are. And you'll notice suddenly that their eyes will light up. They will become very vibrant and they will be happy to share and talk about them. This will build a bridge of empathy and understanding and they will grow to like you. When people remember that you went out of your way to get to know them, even when you just first met them, this opens up the door to long-lasting relationships. And when you interact with them again, they're going to remember you more than likely. So embrace the habit of asking questions, become an inner detective and get to know them. Just don't get too weird about it. The next habit is they're genuine. You know when you're at a party surrounded by a sea of masked faces where everybody seems to be wearing a facade of societal expectations? This is where being genuine is your silver bullet to standing out and being likable. Let's be real. How often do we find ourselves putting on a show, pretending to be someone we're not, just to impress others or fit in? It's like starring in a never-ending improv performance where everything is just full of half-baked truths. It gets old so fast. Everyone has like the exact same opinion on things, and they hardly even know what that opinion is. I did this a lot in high school where I would adapt like a chameleon, where I just wanted to fit in, and I would just put myself in those situations where, yeah, I support the bees. Yeah, let's make the cafeteria vegan. That's a great idea. Wasn't even vegan. If I could say things that would get people to like me, then I would do it sometimes because I was just very self-conscious and I was just like, all right, I'll have this belief and roll with it if I could have friends. The problem with this is you live with this guilt of knowing you're full of shit and you're living a life that's not true to yourself. And eventually people will always find out that you're full of shit. When you can embrace your authentic self, it's like a breath of fresh air in the room. People just recognize that you're a real one. You're not just talking out of your butt to fit in. You actually have an opinion on things, and it might not be the favorable opinion, but you don't care. And by being genuine, you'll create an instant connection, and people will actually trust you, and they'll think that you're very sincere. The next thing is they do not seek attention. You know when you're in a room with a bunch of people and you could always point out the people that are always trying to draw attention to themselves? There's always that pack of attention-seeking peacocks that you can just point out right when you get there. I feel like with social media now, so many people go through attention-seeking Olympics, going through hoops and ladders just to be the center of attention. It gets old so fast, you know it's the same old story, you know they're not going to pay attention to anything you have to say, they're only going to want you to pester them, to ask about themselves, and to follow them on Instagram, and it's just, it gets old. And I always find myself drawn to the people that don't go out of their way to make a scene. You could tell they exude genuine humility and an intent ability to listen. When I'm at a social gathering, instead of vying for attention, I tend to just be a quiet observer of everything around me. I try to be very curious and take it as an opportunity to meet like-minded people. It's hard making friends in your 30s, so if an opportunity presents itself, I'm taking it. Next is they leave a strong first impression. When you're in a room full of new faces, it feels like there's just immense pressure to make a good first impression with people. We've all experienced the fear of tripping over our own words or accidentally showing up with a piece of toilet paper stuck to your shoe. And when these first impressions don't ever go well, it stings. It's kind of like putting in reps. The more you do something, the more you get confident at doing something. So after making 1,000,001 bad first impressions, I started to learn how to make good impressions. And honestly, it's just as simple as just being approachable. When you're standing up straight and you're smiling and your hands aren't crossed and your phone's away and you're not doing weird things, people will look at you and gravitate towards you. This will build an eagerness and an interest in those who want to get to know you and think that you are a likable person. Conversations will flow effortlessly and opportunities will open. And remember, you only get one first impression. If this video brought you value, I'd love if you would like it. It would help so much with the algorithm. And if you hadn't subscribed, maybe consider subscribing. You watched it this far. You can watch some more of my videos coming up right here. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.